So I don't know why Canada women's national team decides to be quiet for months, and only when I'm in the busiest week of school do they drop the deets about the celebration tour. I'm going to go into all of that in a minute. Just first want to acknowledge some very important things going on in the world of women's soccer and things that are directly affecting many of our players who are in the NWSL. I want to give a thank you to the players who are advocating for their rights. I've been watching, especially on Twitter, everything unfold over the whole summer about abuse and exploitation, especially from coaches, sometimes at the manager level as well. And it's a whole systemic thing, and I just wanted to say thank you to the players who have been very brave and who shouldn't have had to go through this process of saying what's happened to them and then being told by superiors that their feelings were and experiences were not necessary to be investigated further. And I think that's very important in the world of soccer that you are kind of following up on this, because if we ever want to have a league of our own in Canada, we need to learn from these mistakes that the NWSL is having. We need to make sure that players have autonomy in where they decide to play, because when you're stuck in an environment, it's pretty messed up. Because I know players like those who address the issues said that they really had their hands tied because they can't get traded. Like, they can't just make a new contract with another team. Nadia Nadim was talking about how she even agreed to leave the NWSL and come to another team and got exploited for that. So it's definitely some big learning lessons for if Canada wants a league. Player autonomy is central to avoiding a lot of this abuse based on power. It starts from the top and bottom, and I know Canada Soccer has had a history of not doing well with this in terms of what's happening out with the Whitecaps. So I think there's a lot of room for improvement even within our national team, and if we want to have a league, this needs to be a number one priority. I also would like to take some time to acknowledge we have a celebration tour. Two games, one in Ottawa, one in Montreal in October, and there is a rumor that there may be more games in November or in 2022, and those games will likely be in the West Coast, and of course they should be because the GOAT is from the West Coast, and I would love to see her being celebrated in her hometown slash region. She deserves nothing but the best, and all these players do, so I'm excited for the hometown girls in Ottawa and Montreal, such as Giles, Vians, Carl, to be back with their families, and all the girls who live in the GTA, I'm sure their parents will be signing up for like a bus and driving up together, and I will see if I can squeeze in a game between all of my school stuff. I think I have reading break for the one. Interesting fact, the last time that Canada played at home was in May 2019 before the send-off for the World Cup. So that's about 2019, 2021, over 2 years ago. So it's very exciting that they can play. I'm hoping that they can have a lot of fans at these games. I'm sure if they're in Montreal and Ottawa, you will probably need a vaccination or your vaccinations and having it on your phone to get into the games. And perhaps with those regulations, they should see a relatively good crowd capacity. I saw the men's team has games in November in Edmonton at full capacity. I'm not sure how that one's going to go, but we're not going to get into that because that's the men's team and we're focusing on the women. So yes, the game in Ottawa is on the 23rd and it's against New Zealand. And then the game in Montreal is on the 26th, also against New Zealand. It'll be exciting to play New Zealand since they are going to be one of the hosts of the Women's World Cup in 2023. It'll be exciting to see the players back home in action, and Bev has said that all 22 players will be invited to the camp and will have some sort of role on this tour, even though maybe it's not necessarily playing, and that there may be some new faces invited as well. And I'm suspecting that these are probably going to be the players that were at camp back before the team headed off to Japan when they were in America. So players like Sarah Stratigakis and maybe Riley Foster may be making an appearance in that camp as well. And so I like that Bev really likes to open up the pool and making sure that these players are included. And we will get to see if any of our vets decide to retire. It may be after this tour. So let's go out, support, embrace. Some final notes. Make sure to tune in and subscribe to DAZN, D-A-Z-N, to watch the Women's Champions League and many of our players who are in action. Sorry, City fans, no Janine Becky in Champions League because they didn't qualify. Also, no Giles because they also didn't qualify. But that one was a heartbreaker. So there are still many of our national team players who will be in the Champions League. So like I said, if you subscribe on YouTube to DAZN, then you are able to watch, which is amazing and great progress for the league. And lastly, there were some new hires on the women's side of the national team, but I will try to cover that next week during my reading break after I have all my assignments done, and I actually have a moment to spare. So I apologize for the delay between videos, but like, school's hard. So make sure that you subscribe, like, stay tuned, and keep an eye out for that reading break material.